what about JT Realmuto? The Mets do not seem to be as high on him when it comes to being a priority at the moment. What are you hearing?
Well, I think that's true, Gary. There's a couple factors there that play into this. First off, there's a little bit of question of whether he wants to come to New York City. That has to be sorted out. But secondly, if you go back, he's clearly the best catcher on the marketplace, but his asking price is pretty high. It's well over 150 million at the moment. And so if you look at that, over the last 3 years and over the last 2 years, if you use wins above replacement, he is not that far ahead of Yasmani Grandal. So those two are at the top of the list over the last 3 years and 2 years. Grandal just got a 4-year deal at 73 million, and Realmuto's asking for 150 or more. So if you're going to ask for that kind of money and get it, usually that takes a little bit longer in the marketplace. And so for the Mets, I think wisely you keep an eye on Realmuto, but you pursue another angle, which is where they are on McCann.
I do think McCann is not that far off in second place as far as I'm concerned. And I think what I also have been adamant about, I think, is that the Mets' priority is not catching. I think it's pitching. And I think I would tend to lean towards putting all your muscle towards bolstering that pitching staff, maybe going after somebody like Springer, who keeps you solid up the middle and gets you some power out of that center fielder spot.
I would also be a little bit more aggressive, I think, with McCann. If I can lock this guy up for, 2 or 3 years and at a much lower price, much discounted price. And as you guys said, look, Realmuto is considered the better all-around catcher. He's done it for more years. He's done it a little bit better. If you just look at last year, McCann actually had better offensive numbers, albeit in a much different role. Wasn't always starting catcher, only caught about half the games, maybe even less than that for the White Sox. So, yeah, I get it. But look, this guy has shown what he can do. I would be very interested in him and the ability that he's shown that he might possibly be able to give you, the potential offensively. Then defensively, he's very good at everything. He just doesn't throw the way Realmuto does.
To Jim's point about the 150 million range, that's not something you're going to want to do if you're the Mets. There's no way the Mets are going to do that to a catcher who's going to turn 30. But to what you were saying, Jim, as you introduced that point and brought us that number, maybe Realmuto doesn't get that. Maybe the market doesn't develop. What I hear about him is that it's not that he has a particular geographical preference, but that he wants to win, especially after all those years in Miami. Then you go to Philly and it doesn't quite work out. So if you want to go in some kind of rebuild like in Detroit, that's not necessarily matching with what Realmuto is going to want. So if he can find a situation where he can win and get paid, that's the ideal for him. But perhaps he has to choose. Perhaps he has to take a little less money to come to a team that's being a little more aggressive in trying to win, like the Mets.